Released 50 years ago on November 19th, 1975, from a Czechoslovakian customs border accident that prolonged production by 10 years, an Angelica Houston cameo uncredited, and it being one of the 3 best films ever made, we've got a whole lot to talk about today. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Directed by Miloš Forman, based on a novel by Ken Kesey from 1962. An independent film that was turned down by major studios, had a $3 million budget and grossed $162 million worldwide. There are only 3 films in history to sweep the Oscars and win the Big Five. The Big Five would be Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, and Best Screenplay. 3 films ever, and this is one of them. 1934's It Happened One Night, 1975's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and 1991's Silence of the Lambs. This is one of the 3 best films ever made. The film is held in high esteem with a 93% tomato meter, a 96% popcorn meter, and an 8.6 on IMDb. 50 years later, it still holds up as an incredibly brilliant and moving work of art. A film about the battle of freedom of expression and individuality versus establishment oppression. The central plot of the film is about a prisoner who fakes insanity to get out of a labor prison camp. He is then put into a psychiatric ward for the mentally unstable, but the movie and story are so much deeper than that. Top 5 interesting facts about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Fact number 5. The cast lived at the Oregon State Hospital psychiatric ward. They lived there. They decorated their rooms. They actually lived there during production. They spent their days interacting with psychiatric patients who were really psychiatric patients to get a feel of what it's like to be locked up and to get a feel of what it's like to be in that situation. Interesting fact number 4, it was on that Oregon State Hospital psychiatric ward that they found some of the cast and a lot of their extras, including Dr. John Spivey in the movie. It is played by facility superintendent Dr. Dean Brooks. It was his only acting role. Interesting fact number 3 about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Many of the scenes were filmed without the actors' knowledge. Miloš Forman would stage these little therapy groups and just tell the actors to talk out their problems and really develop their character's mental illness and find what their character was. And sometimes he would roll the film. He would run the cameras and capture some of these moments where they're just talking. The cast didn't know that it was actually happening. Interesting fact number 2, Angelica Houston has an uncredited cameo in this film. Miloš Forman did not want to include the part in the book where they go fishing. He didn't want that in the movie. He felt that it would undercut the entire tone of the movie. The feeling of isolation, this playful excursion would just undercut everything and remove the feeling of imprisonment. It would also drastically reduce the drama of the final sequence. So he didn't want to include it. Because of that, that was the last thing shot for shooting this film. He went out and shot it anyway, just in case they decided to add it, and of course they did, as you know. Jack Nicholson's then girlfriend, Angelica Houston, was on the set while they were filming that day. So as the bridge is coming back into the harbor, she is one of the 2 girls peering down at it as it's coming in. She has an uncredited little cameo in this movie. Interesting fact number 1 about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Kirk Douglas bought the rights to the movie after the mediocre success of the 1963 stage production, which starred himself. Douglas contacted Miloš Forman about the project and said, "I'm going to send you a book. I really want you to work on this." Unfortunately, that book was seized at Czechoslovakian customs borders, and it never arrived to Miloš Forman. Miloš Forman was upset that he didn't follow through and send him the book. And Kirk Douglas was like, what the hell? You're not even going to respond to this? You didn't like the book that much that you're just never going to talk to me about it again? It wasn't until 10 years later when his son, Michael Douglas, picked up the part and started production to try and film this movie that they realized what had happened, that the book got seized at customs. 10-year delay because of Customs Border Patrol. I'm giving this film a 10 out of 10 on the must-watch meter. This is a must-watch film. If there are ever any must-watch films, it would be the top 3 films that swept the Oscars. This is absolutely a must-watch film. If you haven't yet, you should. It is a 10 out of 10 on my jam meter. I love this movie. However, where it suffers is the rewatchability. I would say the rewatchability calendar, I'm giving it a once every 10 years. You remember the main plot. You don't need to watch it all the time. It's not that artistic of a movie or entertaining of a movie that is something I would consider watching once a year, not every 3 or 5 years. I watched this whenever I was 16 years old. I remembered the basic plot. I remembered the movie. Watched it again. I'm 39 years old. I would say I'll watch it again in 2035. 10 years from now, I don't think I need to watch it again. It is something you have to watch in your lifetime, though. It is a 2-hour and 13-minute emotional drawl on your soul, and it is far too analytical for me to watch all the time. I love this movie and could not recommend it more. The 2-hour build-up to one of the most climactic and surprising resolves to a movie ever is absolutely makes it a classic that you must watch. The movie stars Jack Nicholson, Danny DeVito, and stars Christopher Lloyd in his first ever feature. It swept the Oscars the same year that Jaws and Rocky Horror Picture Show were both released. I have a little bit of an emotional connection to this film, as when I first watched it, I was what you call an at-risk kid, and to try and resolve that, my dad, who didn't know how to do anything about it, I've been locked up several times in jail. I was a way worse adolescent. I've been locked up several times in jail, and my dad put me through several drug rehabilitation centers, most of them outpatient, but twice I was checked into psychiatric wards for 72-hour holds. I think one of them was 5 days. That's why I have this tattoo here. This too shall pass. This will pass. Everything in life will pass. It's just a little reminder. Like, I don't remember those days at all. It's not, I mean, I'm sure it affected me a little bit, I'm sure that isolation, that imprisonment affected me. And that's why I won't watch this every single year. It's something that is kind of uncomfortable. Like, it's not something that I really remember, though. That's why I got this tattoo. This too shall pass. Don't worry about it. Life moves on. It's not that big of a deal. I love this movie. Couldn't recommend it more. It is absolutely a must-watch. My favorite scene in the movie is when he's in the pool and he says something about 86 days, and the janitor, the guard is like, yeah, no, you don't understand what's happening here. And the look on his face of realization that he's completely fucked up, that's one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie. It is a very nihilistic movie with a disturbing ending, but it's absolutely something you should watch. What is your favorite scene in the movie? Please leave a comment below, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.